Hi, today we're going to write a model answer for this process task. I'll show you how to write the full answer, beginning with identifying the key features and planning the answer. We'll then write the introduction, which will involve paraphrasing the task rubric and then writing an overview. Next, we'll write our body paragraphs by explaining what we can see in the chart, or in this case, the diagram, in more detail. So first things first, what are the key features which we can see in this process diagram? When looking for key features in a process diagram, first look at how the process begins and then what is the final result of the process. In this case, the process begins with wind power hitting the turbine and ends with electrical power entering the electricity grid. We can also look at how many stages are involved in the process. In this case, we can see 5 elements drawn in the process diagram. So we can consider these as stages, or we could look at the 3 stages at the bottom of the diagram, mainly when the wind power enters the system, when it is turned into mechanical energy, and then finally when it is transformed into electrical power and put onto the grid. Next, planning the body paragraphs. For a process diagram, we need to find a way to divide the process into 2 groups for our 2 body paragraphs. This is obviously usually halfway through the process somewhere. This process diagram doesn't really offer an easy place to divide the process into 2 halves, but perhaps we could use the generator as this halfway point, because at this point, the mechanical power is transformed into electrical energy. Our first body paragraph can then focus on the mechanical power part of the process, while the second body paragraph focuses on the conversion into electrical power. Now it's time to write our introduction. To do this, we need to first paraphrase the task rubric and next write an overview of the key features which we identified previously. To paraphrase the task rubric, we need to look for different words, synonyms, different parts of speech, and where we can change the voice from passive to active. We want to also vary word order where possible, but really as we change the parts of speech, as we use synonyms and as we use different voices, the word order will naturally change. So we don't need to really focus on this. So here we have one way we could paraphrase the rubric. We've significantly changed the vocabulary and grammar compared to the original rubric, but you'll see we've kept the meaning. So this will be the start to our introduction. Next, we'll add our overview. We've already identified the key features of the process, so let's put this into words. Overall, it can be seen that the process has 3 main stages. First, wind energy is captured with a turbine. Next, it is turned into mechanical power. Then it is turned into electrical energy and sent to the national electricity network. So we can begin with overall. This shows the reader, the examiner, that we are giving an overview. Next, we can use a passive phrase, it can be seen. We could simply say we can see, but why not use the passive to improve grammatical range here? After that, we explain how the process begins and ends, and the 3 stages involved, which we talked about earlier. Body paragraphs. We've already identified 3 stages in the process, so we can split the body paragraphs using these stages. The first stage is where the wind power enters the system and is then turned into mechanical power, can be body paragraph 1. The third stage, where the mechanical power is converted into electrical power and put onto the grid, can be the second body paragraph. Of course, you could think about the third stage as in fact 2 stages, the stage of converting into electrical power and then putting this power onto the grid, but it doesn't really matter. The point is we've found a way to successfully group the information, the process, into 2 paragraphs. So now at this point, we need to describe the process in as much detail as possible in each of these body paragraphs. Let's look at a model for body paragraph 1. In order to produce electricity from wind, firstly, a large wind turbine must be installed, which rotates when the wind is blowing. The wind energy causes the turbine to spin and then a set of gears in a gearbox converts the slow spins of the large turbine into a much faster spinning motion. In this way, significant mechanical energy is produced from the wind energy. So you can see we explain the process in detail and try to use as much relevant academic vocabulary as possible. We avoid using vocabulary already given to us in the task wherever possible. Useful vocabulary here includes install, to talk about setting up or creating the system; rotate, to describe how the turbine moves in a circle. We also use spin, which has the same meaning as rotate. And we use keywords like gears, convert, motion, and produce. Putting this all together, we have a detailed explanation of the first two stages of the process. Now let's look at a model for body paragraph 2. Following this, the mechanical energy is transformed into electric power in a generator. Next, this electrical power moves to a power interface where it is then loaded onto the electricity grid. Throughout this process, a control system ensures that the amount of energy going through the system is managed. Finally, the electrical energy can be transported large distances across the electricity network and used by devices across the network area. In this paragraph, we describe the next stage of the process in detail. We use relevant academic vocabulary such as transform to describe the change from mechanical energy to electrical power. We use load to describe putting electricity onto the grid. We talk about how the control system manages the process. Essentially here, we're just using a synonym of control. We also use words such as transport and network to describe the process without repeating vocabulary that is given in the diagram. And that's it. We've taken the diagram and explained the process in as much detail as possible while trying to use a wide range of relevant vocabulary not given in the diagram itself. We've only described what we can see in the diagram, and we've avoided making our own guesses about the process. The key to success here is using a lot of relevant vocabulary and explain the process without using words given to you in the diagram itself. If you can do this well, you will score really highly in IELTS Academic Writing. This model shows you how you could do it to about 8 or 9 level. I hope that was helpful. If you'd like to read the model answer and check out definitions of the key vocabulary mentioned today, along with some other vocabulary, you can follow the link in the description below. Thanks and best of luck with your IELTS preparation. Bye.